Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going deep, really deep into the world of W.D. Gann. You want to know how this guy went about forecasting the stock market? Well, he's kind of famous for it, considered a bit of a market oracle even.
Yeah, Gann's methods, even decades later, they still spark debate. People are still seriously discussing his work. It's not just the mystery around him, though. He was really ahead of his time, using math and geometry to analyze the markets in ways nobody really had before.
Right, that's what gets me this mix of almost mystical reputation
Yeah.
and then this very structured mathematical approach. It's a fascinating combination.
Yeah.
So where do we even start with all this?
His core philosophy is a good foundation. He believed that market movements aren't random.
Okay, so not just chaos.
No, not at all. He thought they were governed by natural laws, mathematical principles. There's this quote that really sums it up. The future is but a repetition of the past.
Interesting.
Gann was all about patterns, these cycles in market data that other people missed. He thought that by studying these, you could anticipate future price movements.
Not just intuition then, a real system based on these recurring patterns. What were some of the tools he used to find them?
Time cycles were big for him.
Time cycles, okay.
He had these key cycles, like the 20-year, the 10-year, and 5-year cycles. He thought these were the key to figuring out those big turning points in the markets.
Did he make predictions based on these? It all sounds pretty theoretical.
It does, but this is where it gets really interesting. Gann actually forecasted the 1929 market top.
The crash, he predicted that.
He did. He used his analysis of the 60-year cycle to anticipate a peak, either in August or September of 29.
And, well, we all know what happened in October.
Exactly. It's pretty chilling how accurate he was, especially given how much that crash changed the world.
Were those the only cycles he thought were important?
Not even close. He also wrote about a 30-year cycle, a 15-year cycle, and even smaller ones like 3-year and 2-year cycles.
So many cycles. It's almost like he saw the market, like breathing, following these rhythms and repeating patterns.
That's a great way to put it, but then he went even further.
This is where those famous geometric angles come in, right? Are they connected to the time cycles?
They're a separate tool, but just as important to Gann's system. Specifically, the 45-degree angle was his favorite. He used it to forecast price movements and also to identify those support and resistance levels on a chart.
Okay, so if you drew this angle on a price chart, it gives you a roadmap of where the price might go.
Yeah, Gann observed that prices tended to follow these angles. So when a price trend aligns with a specific angle, it could mean the trend is going to continue. But if it breaks that angle, that might suggest a reversal is coming. He thought that combining these angles with his other tools gave traders a real edge.
So time cycles for the rhythm of the market, geometric angles to find those turning points. Didn't he also use something called the square of 9?
That's right. The square of 9 is another tool he used. This one's to pinpoint specific price and time targets. It gets a little complex based on numerical relationships and the number 9, but basically it's about visualizing these cyclical patterns in a different way.
Connect the dots between price and time and these patterns.
Exactly.
It all sounds so intricate. But how did he go from all this to making actual trading decisions?
He had a set of trading rules, a few key things he emphasized. First, figure out the main trend. Bull market, bear market.
Seems simple enough, but I'm guessing it's more than a gut feeling for him.
Way more. He used charts, daily, weekly, monthly charts to confirm the trend. He had a whole system, not about guessing. It was data-driven. But even then, he knew you couldn't eliminate risk completely.
Which is where stop-loss orders come in.
Exactly. He was big on those. Manage the risk, protect your capital. It's something any trader should pay attention to.
Definitely. But there's something else here, right? Beyond just the charts and the technicals.
There is patience.
Patience.
Yeah. Gann stressed waiting for a definite signal before entering a trade. No jumping in impulsively. He even suggested practicing on paper first, Get a feel for his methods before you risk real money.
That's good advice no matter what. Now, I gotta ask, I'm curious. Were there any specific dates or events that Gann flagged as being important for market movements? It sounds like he was looking for pretty precise signals.
Oh, he had some fascinating ones, maybe a little surprising to some people. For instance, he pointed to January 2nd to the 7th, and then the 15th to the 21st.
Wait, so those specific dates in January, why those?
He got really specific. One thing he looked at was the incorporation dates of companies.
Interesting.
He thought those dates could influence the seasonal trends of a stock. Like he analyzed U.S. Steel and how its incorporation dates seemed to play a role in its own trend changes.
So not just market data, almost like the birth chart of a company.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Were there any other insights that stand out to you?
Gann was all about volume analysis. He saw those volume changes as a precursor to price movements.
So volume was like a leading indicator for him.
Crucial. And then there's this idea of lost motion in the market. He compared it to a ball swinging past its center point, how prices might overshoot a target before they settle back.
It's lost motion. I like that. Like the market has these, I don't know, almost human moments of overreacting and correcting itself.
Yeah, exactly. And to manage those reactions, Gann also talked about using PTS and CALS to mitigate risk.
So it wasn't just forecasting, but also knowing how to navigate those forecasts in a practical way. This is already a lot. Time cycles, angles, the square of nine, those trading rules, volume. It's like a whole different way of seeing the market.
It really is. Gann's methods, they need some serious study to fully grasp. There's a reason people are still debating and discussing them today.
Yeah, definitely. So initial thoughts. Anything in particular that stands out to you about Gann's approach?
It's how he connects price and time. It's not one or the other. He saw them working together to create these cyclical patterns, these points where things line up. I think that's where his real genius lies.
It's not just when something might happen, but where the price will be at that time, trying to find those convergences.
Precisely. And to do that, he really went deep. One thing about Gann's work was how he studied historical data. It wasn't just recent stuff. He went way back, sometimes decades, even centuries.
Like he was doing some market archaeology, trying to find those hidden patterns.
That's a great analogy. And what he found were those repeating patterns, echoes of the past, that informed his forecasts for the future. And he had specific ways of using that historical data to make actual predictions.
Give me an example. How'd that work in practice?
Well, let's go back to that 1929 forecast.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't just a lucky guess. He compared those market conditions leading up to 29 with similar periods in the past, specifically 1869 and 1909. He saw these similarities in the patterns of price and time, and that gave him confidence in his prediction of that major market top.
So he was looking for those rhymes in history. Are there other examples of this approach?
Oh, yeah. When he analyzed the Dow Jones Industrial Average, he came up with this concept he called a bull and bear calendar.
A bull and bear calendar, okay.
Basically, he categorized years as either bullish or bearish based on those historical patterns. Certain years within a decade tended to be better for rising prices, while others were more prone to declines.
So, like a market calendar based on these repeating cycles, how did he figure out which years were bullish or bearish?
He had a system for it. He noticed that years ending in 1, 5, and 9 often marked the start or the continuation of a bull market, and then years ending in 3 and 7 were often associated with bear markets, either starting or continuing.
So 2023, according to Gann's system, would be a potential bear market year then.
His historical analysis would point to that, yeah. But it's important to remember these are tendencies, not guarantees. Gann always stressed looking at multiple factors, including what's happening in the market right now and analyzing individual stocks.
So the year is just one piece of the puzzle. But even in a bear market, there are still opportunities to be found,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Gann believed there were always stocks going up even when the overall market was down. The trick is finding the ones bucking the trend. And he had a system for that, of course.
I bet he did. What was it?
One of his main rules was to look for stocks making higher bottoms and higher tops. That's a sign of an upward trend, even when the overall market is weak.
Like those little green shoots, pushing up through the cracks in the pavement. A sign of resilience.
Exactly. But he also warned against a common mistake investors make, averaging down, buying more of a stock as it falls. He saw that as a way to make your losses worse, not better.
So sometimes it's better to cut your losses than try to double down.
Tough lesson, but yeah, goes back to Gann's constant emphasis on risk management. For him, protecting your capital was just as important as making profits.
Now, I know Gann had some ideas about when to buy and sell. Did those fit into his overall system?
They definitely did. He had a whole set of rules, all based on his understanding of market cycles, support and resistance levels, and those geometric angles.
Okay, what were some of those rules? I'm really curious how he put all this into practice.
He liked buying stocks that were breaking out to new high ground. For Gann, if a stock was hitting new highs, that was a sign of strength, a buy signal. And then there's the concept of secondary reactions.
Secondary reactions, what are those?
So say a stock's been in a downtrend but then rallies and makes a new high. A secondary reaction is a pullback after that rally, but it doesn't break the previous low.
So it's like a dip after a jump, but it's still holding above that last support level.
Exactly. Gann saw these secondary reactions as buying opportunities, the market taking a breather before continuing upward.
Looking for those pauses, those little moments of consolidation within a larger trend. What about selling? I guess it was the opposite of his buying rules.
You got it. He said to sell when a stock breaks decisively below its previous lows, especially with high volume. That's a sign the downtrend might keep going. He also talked about selling if a stock couldn't make a new high after a rally, especially later in a bull market.
Like it's running out of steam, time to take profits or cut losses.
Right. Recognizing those shifts in momentum, the clues about the future direction of the market. But Gann's approach wasn't just for stocks. He applied it to commodities, too.
Right, he wasn't just a stock market guy.
He saw those cyclical patterns everywhere. He thought those same principles of price and time applied to commodities like wheat, cotton, even gold.
He believed that those principles were universal. Was there anything specific about his work with commodities?
He had this idea called squaring price and time.
Squaring price and time.
It involved finding a connection between the price of a commodity and how long it took to reach that price. For example, he might look for times when the price of wheat matched the number of weeks or months it had been trading.
So price and time in harmony, creating a potential turning point.
That's a nice way to put it. And he applied those geometric angles to commodity charts too, just like he did with stocks.
Those angles really were a universal tool for him.
They were. He really thought the market spoke in these patterns, mathematical, geometric. Learn the language, and you couldn't understand the message.
But wasn't there a, how do I put it, cryptic element to his teachings? Like he was holding some secrets back on purpose.
There's definitely an element of that. His writing can be hard to understand, even a bit esoteric.
Yeah.
He used a lot of symbolism and allegory, which adds to the mystery around him.
Like he gave you the ingredients, but not the actual recipe.
Exactly. He wanted you to put in the work, figure it out for yourself.
Which is part of what makes him so fascinating even now. People are still trying to unlock the secrets of W.D. Gann.
Absolutely. He left behind a legacy that keeps challenging and intriguing people.
Okay, so we've looked at his philosophy, the key techniques, historical data analysis. I'm curious about the man himself, though. What was his background? How did he come up with all this?
Gann was a bit of an enigma. Born in 1878 in Texas, his formal education was pretty limited, but he was a huge reader, deeply interested in history, math, and ancient cultures.
So self-taught in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
Very much so. He started out as a cotton trader, and that's where he began to form his ideas about market cycles and patterns. He spent years just studying the historical data, looking for those recurring patterns we've been talking about.
His methods were really born out of practice, not just theory.
Exactly. He wasn't just sitting around thinking about this stuff. He was a trader testing his ideas in the market.
And he was pretty successful, right?
He had a legendary reputation for making accurate forecasts. There are stories of him making these incredible predictions in both commodities and stocks.
So the mystique had some substance to it.
It seems so. It is hard to confirm his trading record for sure. There's a lot of mythology around Gann. Separating fact from fiction isn't easy.
Which, just makes it more intriguing. He's almost a mythical figure in trading.
Definitely. But more than whether he was right every time, what's important is that he introduced a whole new way of thinking about the markets, challenging the idea that prices were random and unpredictable. He thought there was order there, a rhythm to the market that you could understand if you really studied it.
A pioneer, in a way, laying the groundwork for how we do technical analysis today.
Great way to put it. He was a true innovator. He left a real mark on the trading world.
This has been a great overview, his philosophy, techniques, using that historical data, even a bit about the man himself. But I want to touch on the source material itself, the Master Stock Market course. What's the tone like? Is it a textbook, a personal journal, something else entirely?
It's actually kind of a mix. Some parts are very structured, like he's laying out his rules and methods in a clear way, almost formulaic.
So, not afraid to be direct.
Not at all. But then you've got these other parts that are much more philosophical, almost like he's reflecting on things. He shares these insights, his observations about the market, and even human nature.
So it's more than just the technical stuff.
Way more. And that's what makes it so interesting. It's not just a set of rules. It's a framework to understand the market, a way of thinking that can be applied in so many ways.
It's like he gives you the keys to the kingdom, but you got to find the right door to unlock.
That's a perfect way to put it. And that's what makes studying Gann such a challenge. But it's also exciting, there's always something more to uncover, to learn.
We've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, Gann's work, it's like a tapestry, all these intricate patterns and hidden meanings, a lifetime of study, and it can be incredibly rewarding for those willing to put in the effort.
So before we wrap up this part of the dive, any final thoughts? What really stands out to you from Gann's teachings?
For me, it's his focus on self-mastery. Gann believed to be a successful trader, you needed more than just the technical skills.
Okay.
You had to understand yourself, your emotions, your own biases.
So master the market by mastering yourself. That's not something you hear a lot in trading.
Exactly. And Gann, he took it even further. He said true mastery needed a spiritual dimension.
A spiritual dimension. Interesting.
He was a devout Christian,
Yeah.
and he saw the principles he observed, harmony, balance in the markets as reflections of a higher order.
Trading as like a spiritual pursuit. That's a new one.
It was for him. And I think that's why his work is still so powerful. It's more than just making money. It's about aligning yourself with these natural laws of the universe, finding that harmony in all that chaos, understanding your place in the bigger picture.
That's a pretty profound way to think about trading. It becomes about personal growth, self-discovery, as much as it's about gains and losses.
Exactly. And that's why I think Gann's work still resonates with people today. It offers a way to understand not just the markets, but ourselves as well.
This has been a great deep dive. Gann's world is complex, a little mystical, and certainly challenging. But there's a lot here. I think I need to revisit this source material, see it with new eyes now.
That's the thing about Gann. There's always another layer to peel back, another insight to discover. It's a journey, and it can be really rewarding.
So if our listener wanted to start their own Gann journey, what would you suggest? Where's a good place to start for someone who wants to use his ideas in their own trading?
I'd recommend his concept of time cycles. It's the foundation of his work, and you can apply it to any market.
So understanding those rhythms, the repeating patterns that drive things,
Exactly. Once you start to see those cycles, it's like a new dimension opens up in the market.
tuning into a frequency that was always there.
Yeah, and Gann, he gives you the tools to do that.
The source material mentions a website, www.groups.yahoo.com/group Wheels and Fesky. For anyone who wants to learn more and connect with others who are studying Gann, that could be a good next step.
It's a great resource. And of course, there are tons of books and articles about Gann too, so there's plenty to dig into.
It's like we opened a door to a whole new world.
We have. And I
Yeah.
have a feeling W.D. Gann's going to be inspiring traders for a long time.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into W.D. Gann. I hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
And until next time, may your trades be profitable and your insights even more so.
And may your charts always reveal those hidden patterns. Thanks for listening.
For me, it's his emphasis on self-mastery. That's what really gets me about Gann. He thought to be a truly successful trader, it wasn't enough to just get those technical skills down.
Right, gotta have more than just the tool.
Way more. You had to understand yourself, your emotions, your biases, all those things that can trip you up.
Master the market by mastering yourself. It's a different way of looking at it, for sure.
It is. And Gann took it a step further. He actually said that true mastery, it needed a spiritual element.
A spiritual element. Wow.
He was a very devout Christian, and he saw the principles he observed in the markets, things like harmony and balance, as reflections of something bigger, a higher order.
Trading is a spiritual pursuit. That's a new one.
It was for him.
Hi.
And I think that's part of why his work still has this power, all these years later. It's not just about making money. It's about aligning yourself with these natural laws, finding harmony in all the chaos. It's almost like understanding your place in the universe, I guess.
That's a pretty amazing way to think about trading. It becomes about personal growth, self-discovery, just as much as it's about the financial side.
Exactly. And that's why I think Gann's work still speaks to people. It offers a path not just to understand the markets, but to understand ourselves too.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. Gann's world, it's complex, kind of mystical, and definitely challenging, but man, there's so much to learn. I'm already thinking I need to go back and look at this source material again, see it with fresh eyes.
That's the beauty of Gann. There's always something more to uncover, It's a journey and a rewarding one for those who are willing to put in the effort.
So if someone's listening and they want to start their own Gann journey, what would you recommend? Where's a good starting point for someone who wants to actually apply these ideas to their trading?
I'd start with his concept of time cycles. That's the foundation, and you can use it with any market you're interested in.
So it's about understanding those underlying rhythms, those repeating patterns.
Exactly. Once you start to see those cycles, it's like the market opens up in a whole new way.
Like you're tuning into a frequency that was always there, but you just couldn't hear it before.
That's a great way to put it. And Gann gives you the tools to do just that.
The source material mentions a website, www.groups.yahoo.com/greatwheelsyntheski. It seems like a good place to start for anyone who wants to learn more, connect with other people studying Gann.
It's a great resource. And of course, there are tons of books, articles, all kinds of material out there about GAN. So much to explore.
Like we've opened this door to a whole new world of market analysis.
We have. And I think, W.D. Gann, he's going to keep inspiring traders for a long time. His legacy is going to live on.
Well, on that note, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of W.D. Gann. We hope you found it as fascinating and thought-provoking as we did. It's been a pleasure having you with us today, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.